So the solid line is at 30 to 45, and then...
Mm-hmm. So you can see as they overlap, you've got cohort differences in level at age 60 in different cohorts. And you also have different trajectories by cohort. So your two later born cohorts are actually showing patterns of increasing neuroticism from 40 to 65, 75, depending. And the earliest born cohort is showing a steady decrease from 70 up to 100. Of course, now here is where Carrie's point about mortality could also play a role in this. The older you get, the more likely it might be that survivors are probably going to be differentially selected from the low. Oh, this is extroversion, sorry. So this would be extroversion, people getting more introverted as they get older, and also being at a different level to start with.
So going up means they're getting more introverted?
More extroverted.
More extroverted.
Going down is more introverted. So your earliest sample is showing an increase in introversion with age, and the two younger sample will be more extroverted.
Since they hardly overlap, could you assume that it's possible that it's curvilinear, but because you aren't showing the start for the older cohort in the end? Like maybe, now the youngest cohort will start going down, and before maybe the older one was increasing till like age 70.
Well, as far as you've got overlap in these two, you've got similar direction. And it's a little harder to tell here. As far as you've got overlap here, you've got different levels. This could be flat, I suppose. So, does that shed any light on what you were asking?
Well, I'm just thinking because there's not much overlap for the oldest cohort.
Oh, yeah.
To like show that
so
maybe before they were increasing, and now they're kind of on their down.
Are they going to come back down again? Interesting question.
Like instead of completely linear.
It depends, I guess, in part on whether you think. Well, I guess you're averaging out across cohorts here, so you might be killing differences in this one.
Couldn't they still show some kind of curvilinear?
Yeah, you could hit like an upper limit.
Yeah.
You
Like there's
might
a
hit an upper
ceiling
limit
effect
around
and then they'll start going
75 to
down
80. Yeah, everything about personality at certainly 80 plus, even 75 plus, is all really new, and so we don't have any developing consensus or massive data on that. The whole story until 10 years ago, there was like maybe 2 studies where people were looking at personality past age 75. So, and that was mostly on the Oakland, Berkeley studies, which personally really like for a lot of reasons. It is a kind of unusual sample. And also really different measures and a really different analytic strategy, which ends up with some of the same conclusions earlier in the lifespan, which I think is kind of interesting. That's why I like it. I don't know that I want to base a theory of personality yet in all those years, just in that. So, and then here's the neuroticism stuff. So you have if people kind of headed down on neuroticism in the latter part of life, but at different levels, different cohorts, and also different kind of slopes. Apparently, the latest born cohort looking at the sharpest acceleration. This one kind of coming close, and this one being a higher level and then a smaller deceleration. Again, this is also up in your oldest years. So, this is back to one of the assigned readings. And what they're looking at here is actually accumulated change. So they're taking on the question of mean differences in a different way than most people have calculated it, and in a way that kind of directly challenges the old cost of the play assertion that the differences are pretty small. And it actually follows a notion that's been in the literature for a while, but not demonstrated quite this clearly visually, is that while changes over, say, 5-year periods or changes from decade to decade might be pretty small, if they're in the same direction and they add up over time, by the time you're 60 or 70, you might be quite a bit different than you were when you were 30. And they're kind of taking on that question. Say they decompose extroversion into vitality and dominance. And they're not finding a whole lot of change, accumulated change in vitality, but dominance, they find this increase that levels off at about 40 and stays till 60 or so. Agreeableness, they find accumulating increase up to somewhere around 3/4 of a standard deviation by the time you get 65 or so. Conscientiousness up to about a standard deviation by age 65. Emotional stability, which would be sort of like the reverse of neuroticism. Increases in stability up to about almost a standard deviation by age 40, and then kind of staying pretty stable thereafter. And then they're showing at mean levels increases in openness to experience, well, from age 10 to 20. I guess it's not like it used to be. And then suggesting that there's not a lot of additional increase or change in either direction after that, after 7 years. So some stability, some change. Let's take a 10-minute break and come back at about 1/4 up.
I don't like cemeteries, but see, bodies don't. Like, nothing about the body is that disgusting except hair.
So why don't
Like, coarse hair is disgusting. Everything else, I don't care. Like, I mean, a bathtub full of poop doesn't bother me that bad. That can be cleaned, right? You can wash it down the drain. Hair, no, because it stinks to you. Like, I can't do hair. I can't do hair. Everything else, totally cool with. I don't have a problem with anything. Just hair. And it's only like coarse black hair, like really thick hair. I don't know, not like horse hair. Like horse hair doesn't bother me.
That's probably dirty.
Well, I know, but like I know it's horse hair, you know, like human hair. Like my girlfriend's old roommate, like her hair was everywhere. It was literally like it was almost as thick as horse hair, but it'd get like wrapped around my toes and stuff. That's disgusting. It was on the floor. What are you talking about? My girlfriend's old roommate had like really coarse, thick hair. Oh, like all over the place. Yeah, it was like all over my toes and like wrapped around my toes, and that was just disgusting.
Yeah, well,
She was shedding. I don't know. Maybe she was molting.
there was no vacuum.
No.
Like, I mean,
Like not one that worked well. The
it sounds like
I wish I was.
Oh my god.
It was pretty nasty.
I wish
I'm trying to remind you something. I was surfing on Monday and I stepped on something squishy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. It was like yay big-ish. It was like